Hi friends, good evening. I feel it a pleasure today to introduce Miss Vasudha Singh. Vasudha Singh, she's a graduate from Jindal Global Law University in 2018. When she was doing her studies, she did her intern with Mr. Bob Day, who is the CJI, Chief Justice. Thereafter, she did a lot of interns. At this point of time, on behalf of legal firms, she is doing litigation at various courts, including the Supreme Court. Vasudha Singh, she her 11th and 12th from Amity International Schools, Gurugram. She did her sciences, MPC group, math, physics, and then chemistry groups. Then she opted for law as a career choice. Today, she will be explaining you about what exactly motivated her to pursue law as a career and how are the career opportunities in litigation. And I welcome Ms. Vasudha Singh. Vasudha Singh, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna, for this introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, you are very much audible.
Okay. Yes. So, and also congratulations to Career Launcher for such an excellent result this year. I mean, it really truly takes a lot of effort to get so many students to do well, and congratulations on that. And that also says that all of you are in safe hands.
Thank you.
So I'll be talking about litigation as a career. I have been primarily practicing at the Supreme Court for the past 2 years, and I have been given a list of pointers which I would like to cover along with litigation per se. So I'll just stop my video so that it streams better.
Yeah.
So these are the things that I'll be covering. Why law? Why I chose to study law? What is life like at a law school? My experience at Jindal Global Law School, because I'm an alumni from Jindal. And then I'll speak about internships and placements and work experience, what I've done before litigation, what litigation is like, and how I ended up doing litigation, and also then focus mainly on litigation because that is what I mainly do. And I'll try to cover as much as I can. And if any of you have any questions, we'll take it up at the end. Second. So why did I choose to study law? So at a very young age, I decided that I wanted to study law. I mean, it was around 8th standard that we were studying civics, and the idea of justice and equality really fascinated me. But of course, that was a very premature understanding of what the legal field would be like. But nevertheless, it was an interesting choice, and I was very, very curious about the subject, and also the fact that it is a professional degree. My parents supported me, and so it was a very pragmatic choice of choosing a best combination between interest and what you think really will work in the real world. But I truly realized the potential that the legal knowledge has was towards the end of my first year and somewhere in between the second year, when I realized that uh, the knowledge of law and the potential that it has is something that really empowers you. Because I realized, so after the end of first year, which is when you mainly do other subjects that are not related to law, they are BA subjects. So I'm sure all of you are looking for a 5-year course, or even if it's a 3-year course that you're aiming for. Most of you, since you're in 11th and 12th, would be looking for a 5-year course. And so law is not a degree independent on its own. So you will end up doing a BA or a BCom or a BSc, and or any other field. There are so many options now, BBA. So what happens is that in the first and the second year, you are primarily doing courses from the other subjects, whichever is your other undergrad course, and it's only in the third year and the end of second year is when you start doing your core law courses. So it is only then that I realized that, what really is the strength of studying law, what really it can do to you. So there is immense potential in studying law. First of all, we're living in a developing country. Now what that does is that there are so many loopholes, there are so many systems that are not in place, and there is so much potential for us to make a difference in those. For example, disabilities are not really handled well in our country. There are so many laws that can be made. Implementation needs to be done regarding, people with just so that there are ramps for everybody, just so that, everybody feels included in all spaces. Then then Also that there is so much that you can do for the environment, there's so much that you can do for the labor. Basically, being in a developing country is, it what it does is it opens a lot of avenues for you. It opens a lot of places that, you can really practice. And one may think that, that's not what everybody does after studying law, but it continues to remain an option. The second thing that I realized is that law is not just a fixed curriculum. It's not that you just study your contract law or you just study your property law and it's done. What you do when you study these courses is you delve into the real issues that are happening in the world, and you delve into the system of how, why the laws are there in the first place, and why have they been shaped like that. So in order to understand, in order to get a wholesome picture, what you end up doing is you end up getting deep into the background of that area. And there are so many areas that you will cover during your law school. You'll study property law, you'll study human rights law, you'll study environmental law, you'll study disabilities law. You will have the option of studying so many different kinds of laws that it will expose you to a bunch of different fields that exist in the world, and more specifically in our country. So it is a very, very useful degree to have. So even if you think that you may not want to practice law at the end of 5 years or at the end of 3 years, I think it is still a very, very useful degree to have, because even if you plan to do business, if you plan to become a shoe designer, if you plan to become a chef, own a restaurant, still having a degree in law will be useful. Because why? Because you need to know contract law. If you want to run a business, you need to know service laws, you need to know business corporate laws. You will be signing 100 contracts during the duration of your life as an adult. Every day you're required to sign hundreds of papers. You sign your insurance papers, you sign your bank papers, and nobody really reads what is written in those fine lines except lawyers. And a big reason why people don't read that is because a lot of times you don't understand that. But as a lawyer, you will have the ability to understand that. You will have the capability to really know what is written in there. And I think that is a very, very empowering position to be in. And even if you're a shoe designer, like, you need to know copyright law. You need to you need to kind of have that background in your mind to establish your career as a freelance designer or as a photographer. So even if you're confused, I would suggest that, this is an excellent degree to have. So this is why I chose to do law. And of course, I don't regret it. It was an amazing decision. Is a roller coaster ride, essentially. What happens there is, I mean, it's not all work and no play. But am I audible? Hello.
Yes, audible. Yes, audible.
Okay. So it's not all work and no play, but essentially you will be required to do a lot of work. Being in law school means doing a lot of reading, a lot of reading, and that doesn't just end in law school. If you want to practice law, if you want to be in any field related to law, you will be expected to continuously read. So reading is something that is what primarily happens at law school. At my law school, we were given a bunch of assignments every single day, every week. We were made to do presentations. We were expected to be prepared for, surprise tests, or we had presentations, and, there was a lot of public speaking. And what all this does is it puts you in the grind. Now, it may not sound very exciting that, I don't want to work so hard. College is supposed to be fun, but it may not look like fun on the face of it, although it is, once you are going through it. However, it is a very, very rewarding experience at the end of it, because that grind really shapes you and molds you into a person that is able to think critically, that is able to think intellectually. You are now equipped to handle a lot of challenges that come in your life, because during these 5 years you will be thrown in the midst of the ocean and, expected to swim. And that really enables you to kind of learn how to overcome challenges. And you also, during these 5 years, when you study all these subjects that you will get to, you will realize that you will learn to analyze a situation, not like just by on the face of it. You will learn to analyze things in an all round manner. You will be able to see both sides of a coin. You will be able to look at things from a whole some perspective, not just a linear perspective. So and it will make you very, very open minded, because you will be put through all these situations. You will get to interact with all these people. You will be made to read about so many situations and so many things. So it is a very hectic yet very satisfying and rewarding experience that you will have. So that is essentially what life at law school is. While I say that, it is also a lot of fun. You do get to be a part of a lot of fests, and there are all kinds of different societies. And I was a part of the dance society, and briefly for with the environment society. I took up photography during my 5 years at law school. I did some yoga, and there were a bunch of things that I did apart from just studying, but primarily studying is what you do. Now, focusing on my experience at Jindal Global Law School, as many of you would be aware, is situated in NCR. It's towards Haryana, Sonipat. Now, I got through a bunch of colleges after 12th standard. As Sir mentioned, I had PCM. However, I was sure that I wanted to study law from a young age, and um, I chose Jindal primarily because they gave me a scholarship. So Jindal offers a lot of different scholarships. So I got a 50% scholarship. Jindal is a little steep, so scholarships do really help. So if you are someone who is aspiring to go to Jindal, or wants to keep it as an option, scholarships is something that you may want to keep your eye on. They give different kinds of scholarships based on your background, based on your LSAT score, based on different things. And they keep updating that on the website. So if you have a decent score and you have a decent background and you are eligible for a scholarship, you can definitely get one. So that is something you should keep an eye on. But yes, once I procured the scholarship, that was my final decision. Now, experience at Jindal is not a very ordinary experience. It's truly extraordinary. First of all, the teaching methodology that we have, it's not a technical rote learning process that you go to class and your teacher will teach you about contract law. They will tell you this is the contract, how this works, that works. It's not like that. You are expected to prepare and come on your own, and the only thing that happens in classrooms is discussion and deliberation. So we had a dual semester, which is 2 semesters. And uh, so each semester was for of approximately 4 months. And so before every semester started, we were given a list of the courses that we had to mandatorily do. Apart from the mandatory courses, we were allowed to choose from a bunch of different courses which were electives, and you could choose that based on whatever your inclination is. So during my early years, I chose a lot of courses on environment, and I chose natural resource law. I chose international environment law. I chose a bunch of things. During my final years, I chose courses like disability law, or something to do with management. I studied coolies and capitalism, which was again a very, very interesting course on basically the social structure of our society. So apart from just law courses, we had a bunch of different courses that we could choose from. So we got a list of courses for each course, a list of readings for each course that we had to complete by the end of the semester. And so before every class, we would get an email, or the professor would intimate us about what needs to be done. We were expected to read. A reading can be anywhere from 20 to 300 or 400 pages. And once you've read that, you're supposed to critically analyze, think, and then come to class where you discuss those topics, whatever it is. And people come from all kinds of backgrounds. So it's not a very linear discussion, as you would think that, I think in this certain way and the other person will also think in this certain way. It doesn't really work like that. We are a democracy, and a very, very varied one at that. So people come with all kinds of prejudices, people come with all kinds of notions, and to discuss those notions, to break those notions, to accept others perspectives. It's a very it really grooms you well. It makes you very, very open minded. It makes you accepting of other people, which I think is very, very necessary in the field of law. Then the second thing is that it was a very safe space. There was a safe space in the sense that we felt very, very comfortable in voicing our opinions, even if they were very conservative, or even if they're very, very liberal. We did not have a teacher student barrier. Our teachers were our friends, they were our mentors, they were people who we went to with our personal problems, with our problems in work and everything. They helped us with our internships. So there was no teacher student divide as such. We were very, very comfortable in voicing our opinions, and they were very accepting of that. And I think that's very, very important, because it really engages students, and it makes you feel important, and makes you want to have strong opinions. And that is something that was prevalent. um, Another thing that I did during my law school was, so in general you will have teachers from all over the world. We had teachers from Africa, from US, and they have all kinds of fancy degrees. People are from Harvard, people are from Oxford, Cambridge. So they truly, truly have experienced the best education from across the world. So when they are imparting education to you, what they do is that they take a lot of what they've learned from their experiences, and then try to emulate that, and to try to give that to you. So classes were never boring, they were always very, very interesting. One thing that I did during my 5 years was I was a teaching assistant. So I wanted to explore what being a teacher would be like, if I wanted to choose that as a career, basically being a professor. So I chose to do a teaching assistantship, which is basically that I took some of the classes, and for fourth year students, I chose environment law. I taught some of the classes. The main professor taught some of the classes, and basically I was like his assistant. And we would teach students, take tests, and kind of engage in conversation. It was actually like being a teacher, what it would mean like. So I did that for a semester for 4 credits, and that was a very, very rewarding experience, because being only on the receiving side of knowledge is one thing, but to actually teach, you realize it takes so much more than just having the knowledge of law, or having the knowledge of teaching. You have to engage students, you have to be interesting, you have to do so much more. So that was a very, very rewarding experience. And a lot of students, if you have a decent grade, get the opportunity to do that. Then there were a lot of extracurriculars. Like I said, that I was in photography. That is where I developed a hobby in photography. I participated in several competitions in dance. We have an excellent, excellent debate society. We have an excellent moot society. Moot, if you guys are not aware, is basically like litigation, but it's an imaginary proposition that is given to you, and then you are given sites to choose from, or they can allocate sites to you, and you have to argue from either points of view. So it's like a court, but it's not real, so it's called a moot court. And we have an excellent moot court society. And of course, there's a lot of diversity on campus. We had students again from all across the country, all across the world. We had students from Africa, Hawaii, North America, South America, China, you name it, and we had people from there. What else? Okay, and I also got to do a semester exchange, which is I did one semester of law school in New York in US. So I went to Brooklyn Law School, which was again a life-changing experience. It opened me to a range of possibilities and opportunities and experiences. So the tuition and the college expenses were taken care of, but I had to figure out my rent. So Jindal has these tie-ups with more than 50 universities, and each university accepts around 2 to 3 students from Jindal. So if you have a decent rank and if you do well in the interview, then you get to go on an exchange program, which is again an excellent opportunity that Jindal provides. And now it may seem like I'm advertising Jindal, but truly these were my experiences, and I'm speaking from the heart. They were amazing experiences that I had. Um, Now, coming to internships and placements. So, again, this is something that you may want to make note of. The Bar Council mandates 5 internships during your 5 years at law school. However, we at Jindal were encouraged to do at least 10, or if not more. And I did more. I did, I think, 12 to 13 internships. And I would encourage every one of you to do as many internships as possible, not just in the fields that you're familiar with, but also do internships in every field possible. So I started with an internship with an NGO in Bangalore, and that was after my first semester. That was I hadn't studied much law. We'd just done torts and some basics of contracts, so I didn't want to go to a law firm. But at that point, because I didn't know law enough. But again, you may not be contributing much to the NGO, but you will be learning a lot more, because learning law, studying, doing any course for that matter is one thing, but really understanding what it means to be working is something else, because you need to have a good work ethic. You realize how to behave in a workspace. You understand how to talk to seniors at office, because it's not the same. It's not the same as school, it's not the same as university, it's not the same as home. And I'm sure, okay, I may be stereotyping, but most of us don't have any experience of working till we finish college. So so internships is where we start. So internships are very important. So intern in every place possible, all types of places. So I started with an NGO, and then I worked my way up to a district court, followed by a high court, and then I did a few in-house internships at the big four. I worked at EY, PwC, Deloitte. I worked at, then I moved forward to a law firm. And so there are a range of things that you can do after studying law. You don't really have to fix yourself to thinking that I want to do litigation or law firm. This is the best part about studying law, that there is just a range of opportunities. So I can share some of them. What you can do is you can work at an NGO. If you're really passionate about a certain cause and truly believe in the upliftment of a certain section or anything, then you can work at an NGO. If you think that you want to be in a corporate setup, you can work at an in-house counsel. You can be the lawyer for any company. You can work at Ernst and Young, Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, or Airtel or any company that you can think of under the sun, because every company needs a lawyer, so you can work there. Or you can do a little something more conventional, which is joining a corporate law firm. It is it is one of the most sought after choices, because it pays really really well. So a starting salary would be like almost a lakh, right after law school, which is a lot of money for people who haven't been earning for the past 20 years. But again, there is a price to pay. You work hard, and you don't really have any semblance of a personal life. But again, like if you're passionate about that, then you may find that interesting. Then you can work at policy organizations. There is Center for Policy Research, there is PRS, there is Niti Aayog. What these policy organizations do is that, I worked briefly at Center for Policy Research. What we did there, this was right after my law school. What we did there was, essentially, I was in the technology and law department. We worked on laws that overlapped with technology. So my main focus was at that point Aadhaar, because Aadhaar had just come into action, and there was all this data of all of us that was going to a certain center, and how can it be used, how can it be misused, is our safety ensured, how do you navigate this space, because this is for the first time in the entire world that data of a country of such amount, ours is the second most populous country, and there's a lot of data, and if hacked, if misused, it can really be taken advantage of. So what was the government doing? Were they taking care of it? What systems were in place? Is our safety ensured? uh, I was working on that. And a part of my work also included working with the members of parliament and ensuring that they know that the laws that they're deliberating upon are beneficial for us, because members of parliaments are working on different kinds of laws, and a lot of times it's hard for them also to stay updated in each and every field, because somebody may be good at technology laws, but they may not be so good at understanding women's rights issues. So so what we did was we essentially try to keep them updated in the specific fields. And this is again a great place to work, because all these things that you're doing are having a direct impact on the society, and it can be a very rewarding experience. Even if you choose to litigate district courts, high courts, if some of the cases that I've been doing recently are for rent control. And so if a person is being wrongly evicted, that person who's a 90-year-old man is going to be kicked out of his house. And what can he do? He's not an educated person. He does not know laws. He does not understand the system. He does not understand what's happening, whether he has violated any law, or are the or is the building kind of misusing their power. Working on such cases, working for these people's rights, really is a very satisfying experience. But any field that you choose in law, it depends. It can be rewarding either way. You may feel passionate about working at a corporate law firm, or working as an in-house counsel. You can feel passionate about anything. But all these experiences, I would encourage for you to start in the very first year itself. Even if a lot of your friends are not doing it, I would suggest that you do it, because that is how you will be able to understand what it is that you really want to do after those 5 years. So after doing these 13 to 14 internships, I realized that policy or litigation were the two fields that I was most keen on, because uh, work there was more, people oriented. There was more interaction with humans, and also that a lot of what I did translated immediately into reward, because what I discuss with the members of parliament gets deliberated upon the next day, and it becomes a law on the third day. So immediate reward is very satisfying. And litigation, again, But this conclusion I came to only after having so many experiences. So I would say that, in your first year, don't jump to the biggest law firm, don't jump to Trilegal, don't jump to Amarchand Mangaldas. Save those for, your later years. Start with something small, start with smaller organizations. You can in fact even start right now. I mean, obviously not at the cost of your education, but keep an eye, see what are the things that lawyers do, see what are the things that people do. Or if not, start working right now. Stay in touch with these people, because connect, making building contacts is something very very important. So it's good to stay in touch with people who can later give you these internships, because you may know a person or two in a certain company and you can get that internship. But getting a lot of different kind of internships, if you do not have a lot of connections, can be slightly difficult. So keep an eye, stay in touch with people who work, your father's friends or your mother's friends, or just people you meet at parties, or just your friends' parents, whatever it is. Keep an eye for these things, because they will come in handy. And start with smaller organizations. I say that is because smaller organizations have a lot more time for you. If you straight away jump into a big organization and say in your first year, and you say, I want to prove this, I'm an excellent lawyer, they know that you haven't really studied law, they know that you don't know much. First, second, third, first and second year, primarily you're doing other courses, you're not even touching on law. So you will also not be taken seriously, whereas in smaller organizations there is more reciprocation. So start small and build up, and whatever you want to translate into a job is what you should be really doing at the end of your third year, fourth year, and fifth year. So this is all about internships and placements. Um, now focusing on litigation. So litigation, I haven't met a single person who has not been shocked by the life we litigators lead. Um, so litigation essentially means that you are appearing before courts, you are you're wearing your band, there's a white band that you wear on your neck, and you're wearing a blazer, a black blazer, and a black and white dress. And if you're working in the high court or the supreme court, you also get to wear a gown, which is a lot like Hogwarts. But apart from the appearance, also what you do is a client comes to you with a problem, you prepare a petition for them. It can be a writ petition, it can be a special leave petition, it can be anything. And then you file that in the court, and the court sets a date, you go on that date. If the court feels that there is merit in what you have filed, if it feels that there is a violation of anybody's rights, then they order the other side, whoever you filed a case against, to appear before the court. And then they appear before the court, and then starts the process of arguing. Now it may not be a lot like what you see in popular media, which is suits and tariq pe tariq and all that. but 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 in gist, this is what it is. So if you're looking for a career in litigation, the most important primary thing is having a clientele, because obviously you need people who approach you. So once you have a client, so whatever problem they come to you with, it's not necessary that you have studied that course in law school, because in law school you end up studying only the basic requirements, but you don't really understand the interplay of these laws. So somebody may have a violation of their fundamental rights, but at the same time there may be a violation of contract law, or there may be a violation of some property law. So some other statute. So you have to figure out how all of these laws work together. And in order to do that, you need to have a sound understanding on several law subjects. And even if you don't, because none of us can retain as much in our heads, you need to know how to know. which is the most important skill to have in litigation, which is essentially to problems will come, but you need to figure out how to solve them. And that process continues to remain the same. You should, even if you don't know what is there in the national disaster act, but you should at least know that, I have to read the national disaster act for this. Once you finish law school, you will be able to pick up any act and kind of read it and understand it, and be able to apply it. So a sound understanding on the subject matter, and if you don't have sound understanding, at least doing research on the matter and figuring out what are the laws that you need to be prepared with in order to file this case. Now, the second thing that happens is that you prepare a brief. Like I said, that you prepare a writ petition under 226 if it's a high court, under article 32 if it's the supreme court. All these things you will be learning basics of, even while you prepare for clat, but in much greater detail when you are in law school. So you prepare your petition and then you file them. And so what happens is, if you've been working for a decent number of years, you will have a lot of cases filed in the supreme court, in the high court, in the district court, wherever it is that you're practicing. You'll have a bunch of cases filed. Now every day 3 to 4 cases of mine are listed, and each case is a few volumes, because by virtue of practicing at the supreme court, unless it's a writ or an slp, in fact slps also start from the bottom, but so the case has already traveled from the district court to the high court, and now it has reached the supreme court. So there is a lot of paperwork that already exists. Now when you appear before a supreme court judge, you need to be thoroughly aware of everything that is there in the file. You can't go unprepared. So each brief is can range from around a minimum of 100 pages. Even the smallest of the small cases are at least 100 pages. And that is what is said about lawyers. They can write 2 lines in 200 pages. That's a skill that we have. Or uh, maybe it's not a skill, but that's what happens in the legal field. There's so many pages in each brief that are accumulated, that every case, the smallest case is 200 to 300 pages, 100, 200, 300, and it just goes on and on and on. So there are times when you're expected to read 800 to 900 to 1000, sometimes more pages in a day, because you need to go thoroughly prepared before a judge. And I'm not saying that you have to read each page in great detail, but all in all, you cannot miss anything, because you don't know what the other side is going to argue. You don't know what they're going to pick out from the file. It can be anything, whatever works in their favor, and obviously whatever you're going to argue, you need to know that. Now a lot of times when you work practice at the supreme court or the high court, uh, 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 so there are advocates, and then there are senior advocates. Senior advocates are people who have a certain number of years of practice, and which is about 20-30 minimum, and then they apply for a post called the senior advocate. Or if the court believes that you are so excellent in what you do, they may automatically call you to become a senior advocate. And so senior advocates are people who do not have the capacity to file a case. However, all they what they mainly do is that they argue the case for you. So for example, I have a case which is uh, uh, the stake is of 100 crores or 500 crores, or it's a constitutional law matter. For example, the last big case that I was working on, actually still working on, is Sabrimala, but due to the pandemic it has been paused. It is a 9 judge bench. The stakes are really high. People, there is a huge chunk of population which wants the women to enter. There is a huge chunk of population which does not want the women to enter. And since the stakes are so high, senior advocates are involved. Why? Because they have 20 to 30 years of experience. They are really good with the interplay of laws. They are, by virtue of their experience, they're able to convince the judges in either direction. So hence senior advocates are involved. Now senior advocates, all these big advocates that you hear about or see in the media, like Gopal Subramaniam, Mr. Dushyant Dave, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Mr. Harish Salve, these are all senior advocates. You can in the courtroom you can distinguish them by the means of the gown. So we wear a gown in the court, and their gown is slightly different. They have a flap on the back, which other advocates don't have. That is how you distinguish them. Remember this thing because it will come in handy. And so what we do is that when stakes are high, we prepare our matters, we file the case, and when it has to be argued in court, we go to these senior advocates, we brief them about the matter. They then formulate their own arguments based on all the experience that they have, and then they argue it in front of the court. They do not have the option of filing cases themselves, because they have chosen to be an officer of the court in a sense. But they do have the privilege of working on such big matters. And it truly is a privilege to be a senior advocate, and they are the ones who are really making, like, the money that is talked about in litigation. They are the ones who are truly earning a lot. So it can be anything from 5 lakhs for an appearance to a crore for an appearance. It just depends. And an appearance can be for a minute, it can be for 5 minutes, it can be for an hour, it can be for a day, and the client has to pay that huge amount. But that is what comes with 20 to 30 years in litigation, because what a life of a litigator looks like is that I work 7 days a week. I work more than 12 hours a day. And it can be hectic because, it's even when I come back home, I'm still thinking about what to say before the judge, and if there's any argument that I can think of at the last moment, and it just keeps playing in the back of my head, because the stakes are high. Because when you're practicing at the Supreme Court, it's the last resort for a person, because all his remedies have already been done with at the district court, have been done with at the high court, and now his last resort is the Supreme Court. So you cannot just because of your laziness or your complacency, mishandle a person's case, because that's his last resort. So you really have to be on your toes, you have to work hard. But as I said, it is very rewarding. It is a very direct impact that you're making on people's lives. You can choose to work on small cases, you can choose to work on big cases, you can choose to do human rights litigation, you can choose to do any kind of litigation. In fact, during the pandemic, there was a case that I was working on, which was about COVID-19 and about disposing of the dead bodies. I mean, there are so many people who have passed away with unknown causes. Now, these people weren't. There's a specific state, I wouldn't mention that. They passed away, around 800 to 1,000 people passed away in a week. And then there were these bodies which weren't tested for COVID-19. And what do you do? Do you test them? Because if you don't test them, the people who are disposing these bodies are also at risk. Because these people might have died of COVID-19. So what do you do? And we had a limited number of testing kits at that point. This was right at the beginning of the pandemic. And so it is a very immediate issue which the court has to decide, because and what do you do? And there is no previous litigation on this. It's not like you can look for a precedence, because a lot of legal research is that how laws work is that, if you find something that has already been discussed by the court, you inform the court of that, and the court acts accordingly. But such a case is something that has happened for the first time. So what do you do? And then the court laid down its guidelines and set out protocols, and for the safety of the people who were in charge of disposing these bodies. And the thing is that you cannot even return these bodies to the family, because again, if they are COVID positive, then they might be impacted. And this was also a time when we weren't sure how much does how contagious is COVID, how deadly is COVID, and what impact it can have on people. So it was truly a testing time, and we litigated it in the so at the Supreme Court. And well, everything was taken care of, and thankfully we had enough number of kits. Certain bodies were tested, certain weren't. But so my point is that whatever you're doing, in litigation is very very impactful. Like whatever you do impacts the society immediately. And as a working professional, job satisfaction is something that is it's really rewarding, because a lot of jobs don't offer that. A lot of jobs are very dry. A lot of jobs are they may seem imaginary, but this is a very very rewarding profession. So even though it may be very very hectic, it is it's worth it. And also that every day is different. There are no 2 days that are similar. Every day you appear before a judge, and something different happens. There is a different case, and you're running around the court. You are running around with briefs, you are reading, you are appearing. So there is this adrenaline rush that you get. You're never at a desk, and just doing some paperwork, and all of that. So if you enjoy adrenaline rush, and if you're looking for something very very challenging, then this is something you may want to consider. Also very rewarding. And okay, the slide is not working. Yeah. And a few things that I would say that you should be doing right now is start to get in the habit of reading. Obviously you are studying in school right now, and you have a lot of syllabus in your course. But apart from that, start taking out half an hour to an hour, because I'm sure there are a bunch of other things also that you will be doing. But try to take out at least half an hour. Start with 15 minutes to half an hour and start reading, because reading is something that will be very very useful if you are in law school, and if you do intend to work in the field of law after law school. Second thing I would say is make your CVs and official profiles. By official profiles, I mean LinkedIn, because lawyers, the Bar Council of India does not permit lawyers to advertise. So you cannot put up posters saying that I'm so and so, and I offer excellent legal services. You're not allowed to do that, because it's seen as being unethical. So the only way to kind of have to spread your to spread your practice is through word of mouth, and through having an online presence. You're not allowed to advertise online as well, but through LinkedIn or through other such media, you can kind of post what is it that you're doing, because all of that really counts. Because when people are looking whether to hire you or not hire you, if you have a very if you have an online presence, and if it's been there for a long time, it looks more legitimate. So make those profiles. And even when you do internships, ask your peers to not peers, ask your bosses to kind of like your profile. Or there are a bunch of things on LinkedIn to recommend, or comment about your work ethic, because all of this does count in. So networking will help. So do that. The third thing is access the correct representation of legal field in popular media. Because if you're here thinking that it's like Suits, or it's like The Good Wife, or any of those shows, it's not really like that. First of all, it's in a different setting. We are in India. A lot of times you don't have clean bathrooms in the courts, or the struggles are quite different. Um, but uh, but a better representation you would be able to see. There's a movie called Court. It was India's Oscar nomination in, I think, 2017 or 2018. Excellent movie. You should check it out. Another movie is 12 Angry Men. The People versus OJ Simpson. It's an American crime story show. It's basically about America's courtrooms. Obviously, it's distinguished in the sense that they continue to have a jury system, which we don't. However, if you're looking as a woman, they have a few very good episodes of what it truly means to be a female and practicing law. I mean, the essence continues to remain the same in both countries of what it means to be practicing as a female, but just generally capturing what it means to be a law. Then there is How to Kill a Mockingbird, which is an excellent read as well as an excellent movie. These are some of the movies that you should check out or read. And you can also start by reading a lot of these autobiographies and books on by our eminent jurists and lawyers, Mr. Falina Riman and Mr. Chagla. Uh, there is a whole range of these. I can help you out with them if you need more recommendations. So these are some things that I think you can start doing from right now, because it more than anything, you will know whether you want to be a part of this or not, if nothing else. And then also cultivate a hobby, because if you do intend to have a very very rewarding and satisfying career in the field of law, it's going to be hectic, it's going to be tough, but it is a journey that I would encourage everyone to embark on, because it's something else to be so empowered, it's something else to be aware of your rights, and just knowing that nobody can misbehave with you, because what the laws are. It's an excellent course to have. But cultivating a hobby, because when you start working, it's going to be really really hectic, and you need a kind of a hobby or something that gives you peace, it gives you it makes you happy. So try to cultivate a hobby. These 5 years will be an excellent time to do that in law school. But even if you can start right now, it's not just about doing something enjoyable, but also doing it in doing it well, because that is something that will give you true joy. And um, and well, I'm sharing my email ID, so if anybody has any questions, you can write to me, and you have my LinkedIn profile, you can send me a message there. And yeah, that's about it. So if any of you have any questions, you can ask me. I'll just switch on the video. Which link am I talking about? One second. I'm talking about my contact I've shared on this slide.
No, this is the link you are talking about when you're talking about internships.
No, this is my LinkedIn
Okay.
LinkedIn profile. So if you need help with internships, if you need recommendations for books, if you need any kind of help, you can write to me or you can approach me on LinkedIn. So that's the link I'm sharing.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
Guys, any other question? Guys, any more question?
I think we can wrap up then.
Yeah, it's a wonderful session, Vasudha Singh. So truly it's inspiring. So students came to know a lot, including people like me, about what is happening inside the course here. It's really a wonderful session. If the students ask us anything, we will keep you posted, and then you
Sure,
can.
sure, sure. And they have my email ID. You can
Okay.
approach me anytime, write to me, and I can help you out with internships, or even if you have difficulty choosing law schools, anything, any of that, because I or my friends, we've all gone through that journey. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thanks a million for
no
your session.
problem, no problem. Thank you.